Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here in about 3 minutes or so. Excuse me. Feel free to place questions in the chat. We will have a Q&A session at the end of this, but if you come up with questions throughout the webinar this morning, do not hesitate to put those questions directly in the chat. As we get started, would love to get a little interaction going. Put in the chat, where's everyone at? We'll be speaking today from Atlanta, Georgia, personally. We'd love to kind of see where everyone's going to be located across the world this morning also. Good morning as everyone's joining. It's great to see everyone joining. We'll get started here in just a few. Reminder, we will have a Q&A session at the end. Please do not hesitate to put questions in the chat in the meantime. What time we got? 10. Well, good morning. We'll give it just one more minute as everyone's coming in, but we will get started. We've got a lot to cover this morning. Very excited to be chatting with you all. We got some good topics. A lot of people sent in some questions, so we will try to address those throughout this call today. Again, we will be discussing social selling via LinkedIn this morning. And we are going to give it just, see a couple people still popping in. Where's everyone at speaking, or where's everyone listening from this morning? Put it in the chat. Like I said just a few minutes ago, we'll be out of Atlanta, Georgia this morning. Very, very excited to be chatting with everyone. Let's see, where do we have? We have some folks from India. Awesome, awesome. New Hampshire, Alabama, South Florida. This is good. Hope everyone's being safe. Give it 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Texas, Virginia, this is awesome. I assume you have put all of us on mute. Yes, but I will unmute everyone during the Q&A session. We will live a good amount of time. I do have some good content. Like I said, we got a ton, and I mean a good amount of questions. So I definitely want to try to make sure that we get through those things, but we did leave, but we do have this scheduled for an hour. I will try to respect everyone's time. So yes, we will have time for Q&A. Someone must have looked at my profile and said, go Michigan State. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. I'm moving, someone just came in as a panelist and I'm not sure how that happened. So just gonna move this to an attendee and let's go ahead and get started. Mr. Jones, I just moved you to an attendee. Not quite sure how you came in as a panelist. Sorry about that, sir. All right, without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling. So good morning, everyone. Like I said, my name is Lorenzo Johnson, and we are extremely excited to talk the world of LinkedIn with everyone this morning. As a platform, it's just increased its usage, and it's great. You know, it's a becoming noisy platform, as a lot of people are starting to experience. So today, the purpose is to talk through a few things, a few of the basics, a few of the standards that everyone should be doing on a daily basis on LinkedIn, things that really help you stand out as far as your credibility, as far as being a thought leader is concerned, as well as some tools that you guys can use on a daily basis to generate leads, to nurture prospects, to close deals, all of that kind of good fun stuff. So my name is Lorenzo Johnson. I'm one of the partners here at Socially In. We're very excited to be talking with everyone today. We are a social media agency that is 100% socially focused. We have offices in Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, and Los Angeles. We'll get into a little bit more about who we are towards the end of this call, but more importantly, let's get and dive immediately into some content. The agenda for today, like I said, we have 3 sections, and then we will be followed up with a question and answering session with everybody. Again, we are going to go through some basics, some profile optimization, some daily tactics that should be done. We are going to get into Sales Navigator, exploring some of the tools, the features, the benefits of that. And then again, like I said, really make sure that we address some of the questions that we have. Reminder, please use the chat. Like I said, at the end, I will go through both all questions in the chat and I will unmute everyone's mic, and we can have a Q&A session at the very end of this. So what is social selling? It's a term that everyone's heard lately. But what does it really mean? What does it really mean? And as we start to explore this definition, the first thing that I always like to remind people is that social media in general is not a place for that hard sell. It's a place to build trust, credibility, nurture, to establish yourself as a resource. However, when done properly, you can appropriately move folks through that funnel that does convert them into becoming closed deals, new prospects, new clients. But remember, that's not what it's for. It's to nurture. And if you go into the usage of LinkedIn and social media, understanding that, yes, the end result can be sales, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the day-to-day purpose and function of it. That's when you really can utilize the platform to its fullest ability and really make sure that you get the most out of it. So technically, we like to say social selling is the process of developing relationships as part of that sales process through social media. You know, it's the art of using social media to find, connect, understand, nurture prospects. It's the modern way to develop those relationships. You know, across the world, we are doing more virtual networking like this. We're not having the ability to do face-to-face networking. For all of us in that business-to-business space, that was a hard pivot. What do you do when networking groups cease to exist? What do you do when Zoom webinars get boring, when you suffer from Zoom and Microsoft Team exhaustion? Well, understanding the process of social selling, how social media works, which clients that you should be interacting with, That's what social selling is. And then when they are ready to buy, they will buy, giving them a place to convert on social media. We will talk about all that. But again, it's the process of developing those relationships. There's 9 things that we like to talk about specifically in social selling. Number 1, you need to develop a strategy. What is your LinkedIn strategy going to be? Number 2, as a part of that strategy, you need to consider, how are you going to find and connect with prospects? Number 3, how are you going to establish yourself as that industry expert? Through videos, articles, thought leadership, events like this. Number 4, leveraging those customer relationships. This is huge. Identifying which funnel, which piece of the funnel your customers are in. Typically, we break that down into 3. We like to say cold, warm, and hot. And as you can imagine, all 3 of those stages require different nurturing. What's your strategy behind that? How are you going to leverage referrals, recommendations, and endorsements? A key part of LinkedIn that's so underutilized. Nurturing your leads. What's your frequency? How often are you going to post? How are you going to ensure that you're top of mind? And then number 8, how are you going to continue to engage with those prospects? So again, when you're developing that social strategy, those are 7 tips that we strongly encourage you to make sure that you have a conversation and begin to game plan. What is social selling for? Social selling is for opening the doors, showing your prospect value, building rapport, creating trust and credibility, providing info. And that does not mean do these steps 1 through 5 and immediately follow that up with an ask to do business in a meeting. What it's not for is going in for the hard sell, immediately asking, get on a call, spamming. There are, again, certain prospects who will be at a place in the funnel where those things do become appropriate. But just like any type of sales prospecting, it's oftentimes never appropriate to go take a cold prospect and immediately go in for the sale. That's typically never appropriate. And LinkedIn, you guys, is no different. And why social selling? One of the things that we talked about is the rise of the usage of LinkedIn over the past 18 months. I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know that LinkedIn has over 600 million members? 600 million. You know, we were doing some research, and a survey by CSO Insights, an industry leader, suggests that 31% of B2B professionals said that social selling via LinkedIn allowed them to build deeper relationships. 51% of social sellers are more likely to reach quotas. 45% of people create more opportunities. It's an awesome time. Let's get involved. Let's ride this wave. And how can it benefit you? Is it important for you to be a thought leader, generating these warm leads? If it's important for you to stay top of mind, grow your pipeline. The time to grow your pipeline is now, you guys. We're getting towards Q4. Q4 is going to be wrapped up, as we all know. We should be talking about, we're getting into Q1 planning. What's that pipeline going to be like? Insight. We're going to talk about how Sales Navigator as a tool, for example, can give you so much insight that people doesn't even know that's there. And research. Part of appropriately moving people through the funnel and the phase is understanding who they are. Why are you talking to them? Again, not just saying, well, they fit that position. They must be somebody who can buy my product. Again, just a few more stats, because I always like to back up the theoretical, the conceptual behind the hard logistical numbers. 76% of buyers, for example, are ready to have a social media conversation. 31% of B2B professionals says that social selling has allowed them to build deeper relationships. And 62% of buyers respond to salespeople who connect with them. We are seeing that internally within our organization. A 60% response rate is not unheard of on LinkedIn when done appropriately. These are real stats, real research. Don't trust just the theory behind it. Trust the numbers. 81% of buyers use social media to research purchases. and evaluate. Again, that's why it's important to nurture those prospects as opposed to just going in for the sale. 72% of buyers use social media to research before making the purchase itself. 81% are more likely to engage with a strong professional brand. Are you consistently active? Again, what's your strategy? Or are you just throwing something against the wall and hoping that it sticks? It all starts with listening. If you don't find those opportunities, being able to execute on those opportunities is absolutely irrelevant. There is not a more ideal platform to identify your niche audiences in the business-to-business space than LinkedIn. Really quickly, let's go through some tactics that everyone should be using on a daily basis. There's 7 here, 7. Number 1, you should be consistently adding folks to your network. There's automation tools, you can do this manually. You need to grow your network. By adding people, your reach exponentially begins to increase. Begin leveraging what's called a profile view strategy. I don't know how many of you know this, but every time you view someone's profile on LinkedIn, it gives them a notification. How can we leverage that? What's the strategy behind that? Are you engaging on other people's posts? You know, one thing that I always like to do is talk about reciprocation when it comes to sales. If you want people to engage on your, or if you want people to engage on your posts, on your material, engage on other people's posts. Social media goes both ways. We're going to talk through how to create lead lists, a little bit more details here, but use them. How cool is this? When you use Sales Navigator, once you create a lead list, did you all know that LinkedIn will automatically add new prospects to your lead list when they become appropriate and begin to join into those filters? It's a self-evolving prospect list. How cool is that? Are you messaging people? And not spammy messaging people. Are you providing value? Are you providing a resource? Also, just so you all know, I know there's been conversation about InMail. InMail is not dead. For example, we are seeing in the staffing industry a rise in the response and effectiveness of InMail. Again, it is not for every industry, but message people, whether it's using your InMail credits, whether it's directly messaging them, begin to interact. Again, I said that I can't say this enough, and that's why it's going to be in here a few times. Endorse people. Encourage people to endorse you. Engage with your clients. You know, we talk a lot about this with prospects, but once people become your clients, let's talk about retention. Imagine if you knew year over year, you would retain 80% of your business. How much easier does that make goal planning for the next year? Endorse people, endorse your prospects, endorse your clients, endorse your employees, endorse your coworkers. Keep in mind, the brand rises as all of the individuals that are a part of that brand rises. Leverage that and share content. Be a resource, third party, first person. Be the place that people want to engage with you. People can't wait for you to be on their feed because you're always providing something of value. The key to digital transformation is re-envisioning and driving change in how the company operates. That's a management and people challenge, not just a technology one. It's a whole shift when it comes to social selling. It requires disruption. You know, this is important. I'm going to stay here for just a second. LinkedIn, I said this earlier, LinkedIn is becoming a noisy space, and it is. It's hard to weed out the spam, all of these different things. The higher your position, the more that you definitely understand where I'm coming from. However, what we know is that there was so much business to be generated that to take a step back and develop that strategy that we've mentioned, which may require disrupting your business, your day-to-day temporarily. It won't be easy. Social selling is an organizational task. Social selling isn't just something that your salespeople should be doing. Your marketing department should help your sales rep social sell. Your executives should be helping your sales rep social sell. Again, this won't be easy, you guys. It could potentially take massive adjustments. You may have to restructure some things. But what do we know for a fact? Not being ahead of the curve is the death of business. Innovation. Everyone on this call who's been in business for any period of time understands that innovation is a consistent and requirement. Are you consistently innovating? Traditional methods are losing their effectiveness. You know, in my past, I worked for a coaching company and we coached insurance people. We coached some people, you guys, who, no exaggeration, were making 300 to 400 phone calls per day. Per day. Traditional methods are losing their effectiveness. People have spam blockers. I know on my phone, for example, if it comes up, my phone even thinks it's spam, it's getting blocked. So how are you pivoting in today's time? Organizational success requires the use of social selling, you guys. We must adapt to thrive. And again, we need to make sure that your social selling strategy impacts your buyers throughout their journey. Again, a reminder, what's your strategy for cold prospects? What's your strategy for warm prospects? What's your strategy for hot prospects? How are you moving them from stage to stage? And how are you allowing them to convert at every point possible? And again, reminder, social selling is an organizational task. It's sales, it's marketing, it's admins, it's operations. That's when we're appropriately social selling, when it's a beautiful synergy between those. The value, why? Why is this all important? Why are you all taking the time out to come and talk today, to listen today? It's part of the new norm. You know, we did some research and we put together a couple case studies that I just want to quickly show you all, because the largest business B2B brands in the world are leveraging LinkedIn. If it is working for PayPal, if it is working for ADP, it can work for Socially In, and it could work for everyone's business on this call right here. You know, PayPal, they couldn't figure out, they had issues identifying key decision makers. PayPal does what is called enterprise or account-based selling, which basically means that they're trying to get into one account, which may take a very long time, and they're going to have different conversations at different levels simultaneously. Keeping momentum, connecting to decision makers. And what did PayPal find out? Using the network effect that LinkedIn offers, PayPal has been able to book meetings where colleagues have already worked with prospects or even played hockey at the same club in the past. And that kind of background can provide us with a great icebreaker as well. Did you all know that you can prospect all of the alumni who went to your college on LinkedIn? Did you know you could join a group on LinkedIn, whether it's for personal passions, cryptocurrency, networking, parents of college-bound students? There are so many ways to leverage LinkedIn throughout that sales process. ADP, how do you get better qualified leads? Not just any leads, qualified leads. Productivity. No one has time to be making 300, 400, 5 phone calls a day, you guys. How can we generate sales? You know, I love ADP's case study because how can you align your marketing and your sales to adopt a common definition of a good lead? You guys, that is key. As a social media agency, we work with so many companies, so oftentimes where marketing and sales is disconnected. We'll get on a call and we'll ask questions about goals and objectives, get 2 completely different conversations. Internal teams are not aligned. However, LinkedIn can help you do that. Again, how can you create targeted content to stakeholders, automate lead nurturing? And what did ADP find out? Leads work increased by 21%. How many people can use a 21% increase in their leads? I know I can. How about a win rate of 103% increase? What if your close rate increased for 103%, you guys? What would that mean for your business? The total amount of won deals increased from 26% to 48. Revenue increased 48% year over year. You guys, these are some of the largest brands in the world using this platform, and it's working for them. Let's take the same strategies. How can we mimic and duplicate them? Just a couple more stats that we had. 87% of customers had a favorable impression of a salespeople who was introduced through their network. Big caveat to that though, 70% of customers want problems solved, not to be sold. How are you solving problems? How are you communicating how you solve problems? How are you marketing how you solve problems? To be frank, do you even understand the problem that you're trying to solve for your clients? These are awesome things to think about before. For you, leveraging networks for introductions eliminates those cold calls. Imagine a follow-up on a cold call after you have a nice, awesome LinkedIn connection and conversation message really quick. Insights, leads. And for the marketers on this call, I know we have sales and marketers on this call. 65% of buyers agree that a vendor's content has significant impact on buying decision. What type of content are you putting out there? Are you really the thought leader that you think that you are? And if not, how can you take these steps to become that? Better lead gen, more relevant content, and your brand is viewed as problem-solving resource. That's what this platform offers you. How can you operationalize social selling? Again, how can you make the sales, the admin, the marketing, how can all of these pieces tie together? Well, number one, make sure you stay authentic. That's key, stay authentic. You know, here at Sociallian, we have a saying that we don't say think outside the box, we say make the box bigger. Be you. Encourage complete and continuously optimized social profiles. That is key. You, your sales reps, have your have your company contact information on there. Update your headshot. Talk about what you do, the problems you solve. Be efficient and effective. Strategy, that's key. Take a sit down and really think. Grab the leaders of your team. Again, a few more things. We talk about operationalizing. We really talk about instilling a culture of social selling. And there's 4 things we like to talk about in that space. Number 1, leverage your social selling index, your SSI score. LinkedIn does rank and give you a score. It will rank you based upon your industry, based upon your network. Leverage that. It will tell you how you can start to pivot and really increase your credibility and thought leader within your space. Social selling, it's in the culture. Make it a priority. Make it a priority. Optimize your profiles. Get LinkedIn Sales Navigator. For everyone who has not got that before, you do get a free 30 days. We will quickly go through some of the things that you can do on it today, but get Sales Navigator. And then learn, optimize, duplicate, repeat. You won't get it right, but it's the pivoting, it's the adjustment, it's the adapting that really helps brands continue to be successful. This is just a quick snapshot of it. Again, it measures your performance. Professional brand, the right people, engaging with insights, and how do you build relationships? It's really going to help you let you know how you are doing in that space. Please reach out to us if you have any questions about how to find your SSI score, what to do with it, all of that good stuff. Optimizing your profile. We'll quickly go through this section because it is important, but I hope that some of you all know some of this stuff, but if not, that's literally what we're here for. Number 1, optimize your profile picture. Your profile picture needs to reflect the industry that you're in. If you are selling to millionaires, depending on the space that you're in, make sure that your picture reflects it. First impression. They happen on social media just like they happen in real life. Cover photo. I see so many people with blank cover photos. That's a great opportunity to not only brand, but really that's an opportunity for you to explain a little bit more about yourself. What are you passionate about? Hobbies, interest. Your headline. Your headline. Did you guys know that your headline is searchable? Did you know that if you put "we're hiring," that's searchable? Again, don't talk about just your position, but what do you do? What problems do you help solve? Your about section. It should be clear. It should be concise. It should be direct. If your headline isn't that first thing that captures some attention, then your about section should be the thing that takes that deeper dive into who you are, what you do, and the value that you offer. Remember to be creative. That's one thing that I like to remind people as of late. Just because it's LinkedIn and just because it's more B2B does not mean that you have to lose all the creativity. Be creative. Let your personality shine. It's okay. Yes, it needs to have a professional aspect of it, but it doesn't have to be this completely stuffy thing all the time. You can be creative. Optimize your LinkedIn URL. You can change it. Your LinkedIn URL does not have to be linkedin.com/1236795. It can literally be your name. It can be your business. It makes it easy because you can tell people to search it. It becomes searchable. Optimize that URL, you guys. Last but not least, take some time to showcase your experience and your achievements. Do you have certifications? Again, if you are a thought leader, if you claim to be, or if you want to be, how are you going to showcase those? If you're an expert, how is that defined? Everyone wants to be an expert nowadays, you guys. Everyone wants to be a thought leader nowadays. These become the things that separate people. I tell people oftentimes, think about this. If it came between you and somebody else, these become the things that take you that one step above. Oftentimes, it's not these huge shifts and changes. It's the little things. Make sure you're emphasizing how you provided that customer value. Diploma, certification, all of those things. Again, if you need to be a thought leader or an expert in your space, showcasing experience and achievements is key. It's absolutely key. As we get into our last section, before we start to get into Q&A, we are going to talk LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I hope you all are taking notes. And again, if you have not tried it, please Google and look it up. You get a free trial. In sales, it's extremely difficult to find the right contacts to have those key conversations with. Since I started using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I've been able to identify the key players on an account, and that's allowed me to be more strategic in my territory planning. It's increased my number of executive meetings and but because I'm having conversations with the right people, I've decreased the amount of time it typically takes to close on a deal. That's what Navigator can do for you. There's 3 quick things. Number 1, you can find high quality leads. Yes, LinkedIn has a premium search filters, which you do not get with regular LinkedIn. There are a ton of additional features. Did you know that you can go after companies who use Salesforce as a CRM, for example? Crazy niches like that. Number 2, you can also target by different things on a person's profile. For example, you can go after people who follow certain groups, who are a part of groups. You can go after people with certain volunteer experiences and endorsements. Again, it is awesome. Number 3, you can use what's called lead recommendations to automatically receive new leads based upon preset and historically saved leads. It's awesome. They automatically add these to you. A couple key things about when using Sales Navigator, and some of these things are reminders, but they're important. Number 1, consistent. Consistent engagement is absolutely key. Use that save leads filter. It's awesome. You alert to changes. You're actually able to look at competitors. You can do poaching. It's awesome. Number two, they do have a CRM widget. Most CRMs, you can literally import Sales Navigator contacts if they have emails, phone numbers, names, business profiles directly into your CRM. Do you have an email campaign? This is how we talk about marketing and sales working together. Imagine if sales can create lists and salespeople can reach one-on-one, and then marketing sends those same people an email from the company. That's how social selling works together. And number three, go out of network. That's the beautiful thing about Sales Navigators. Did you all know that there's what's called closed profiles on LinkedIn? There's profiles that you can't even search on LinkedIn unless you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's awesome. LinkedIn Sales Navigator shines a beacon of light through the fog so that I can quickly and easily connect to the right person to close more deals quicker. Last but not least, ensuring you're the expert and the resource. Three things that we talked about today. Build a premium profile. Don't just have a profile. The question I always ask people is, would you want to connect and engage with you? And be honest with yourself. Number two, leverage the connections you have. Leverage your company pages. Number three, message, direct message, InMail, separate yourself from the crowd. Last thing as we're talking about, because I also want to just give you guys some organic tips really quick. Number one, we've already talked about building those lead lists, but number two, request introductions. LinkedIn makes that extremely easy. Did you know you can actually go after people that you have mutual friends with and have them request introductions? If you didn't talk to us, we'll talk about that strategy. Identify problems or pain points by doing research that you can't get access to. Monitor profiles so that you can get updates, take part in discussions, make new connections. As we are wrapping up our team, thank you guys for your time today. We are very, very appreciative of it. I hope that you all took away at least one actionable point from today. A few things about our team that's very important for us. The Socially In team here, we're diverse, collaborative, dedicated, highly energetic, and adaptable. We're a 100% socially focused agency. We are Facebook agency partners, LinkedIn partners, Google Premier partners, all of those kind of good things. So again, we would love to talk for a consultation. We were voted the #9 social media agency in the country this month. So we really think that we have some good tools and credibility that we really feel like that we can help with you all. And last but not least, like I said, I'm going to go right down to here. If you all have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I am going to now open up the chat. Give me 1 second. I'm going to unmute everyone. All right, let's go through some questions that we have. All right, let's go through some of these things. Couple notes that we have here. Number one, a note, you have to be clear on your ideal market. Once you have that clarity, you have exactly the right picture who's you're going to connect and reach out to on LinkedIn. Gladys, you're absolutely right. All right, we have a question. Do contemporary branding efforts balance out monopoly? I mean, small businesses could thrive among the big dogs. You know, everybody can't talk, so sorry. Yes, they do. And I'm so happy that you asked that question, because that's the beautiful thing that LinkedIn allows you to do. That's the thing that social media allows you to do. It allows you to compete with the big guys in your market. Matter of fact, here's the beautiful thing. Everyone on this call has heard the term perception is reality. The beautiful thing about social media is you get to create the perception that you want people to have. That's the key about having a premium profile. Again, imagine this. Imagine if you only had one opportunity to connect with the ideal person. Imagine if you got your ideal person. Oh,
You're investing in the life you want to live.
uh-oh. There we go. Imagine if you had your ideal person and they came to your profile. What would their experience be like? And be honest with yourself. What would their experience be like? Questions. Explain SSI. It stands for your social selling index. Again, what LinkedIn literally does is it ranks you based upon the 4 things that we went through. Again, if you have additional questions, let me go ahead and put my email in the chat as well. What it literally does is based upon your engagement. How often you're engaging with people. How are people engaging back with you? How does your profile stack? Is it optimized? Is it complete? Do people respond to you? Based upon all of these things, LinkedIn literally gives you a score, what's called a social selling index. But the beautiful thing about it is the way that it's broken down, it actually gives you the guidelines for what you need to do to start to work on to become in the top 1% of your industry. And that is our goal. Our goal with our clients are to put them in the top 1% of their industry and in the top 1% of their network. Let's see. Lorenzo, can I talk about my positive relationship with socially and within the group? Absolutely, Bill. Let me answer one more question. And then yes, Bill, I would love to. Gracie, how does automated lead nurturing work? Well, in order to automate it, typically you will have to use a tool. There are both free and there are both paid tools. There are some things that you can set up on an automated basis in LinkedIn. It does start to get a little bit technical. For example, it also, some of it would depend on the CRM that if the CRM that you have, if it can connect, the capabilities of that CRM. There's a few different things that go into that. But Gracie, if you don't mind, reach out to me. Again, I just put my email in the chat, and I can ask some questions from you, and then I can kind of point you in a little bit, because there's a number of different there's a number of different ways that it works. But typically, you're going to have to use some type of tool or some type of integration. Back to Q&A. Mr. Halligan. Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Bill.
Have I successfully unmuted?
You are, sir.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I have been a Socially In customer for 6 months now, and I have transitioned from making 100 cold calls a day, which we all know leads to 98 voicemails per day. So to a point where Socially In has put together a campaign for me to reach out to a target audience on a consistent basis, sending a message on my behalf every several days or every several weeks, whatever is appropriate. The way we found my customers is Lorenzo and I went through Sales Navigator and found our ideal customer contacts, and we have targeted them. Some of the success I've had was we now have a reseller relationship with IBM, which came through Lorenzo's program. We are now selling, in addition to IT software, HR software, that company we met through the program. And I've had many, many face-to-face meetings with prospects that I never even knew before doing this LinkedIn Socially In program. So I love it, and it's really increased my business.
Bill, thank you so much for sharing. And I think one thing that I want to reiterate, or that I want to just add on to that, is that Bill does a lot of the tactics, you guys, that we talked about in here. So yes, we do have some great tools, but it's about that follow-up. It's about the nurturing. And I think that's something that Bill has done a great job, is understanding which phase his prospects are in, and making sure that the conversations, the interaction are appropriate for the bucket that they're currently in. Bill, we really appreciate thank you so much for sharing.
Hey, by the way, too, group, I'm 68 years old, so I'm a big fan of social media. Amen.
That let's see, did I miss any questions? We also, everyone's unmuted. I don't think I see any more in the chat. I'm confirming now. Let's see. I cannot see your email in the chat. I'll put it back in. I provide a service. It's also on the screen for everyone still looking. It is Lorenzo@sociallyin.com. Lorenzo@sociallyin.com. It is also, oh, I just read it. There we go. It is again in the chat for everyone. I provide a service. Would you say this is the same as selling a product? I guess, Kaz Jones, are you still on? And if you are, can you kind of, could you get into that question just a little bit more, just so I'm not quite sure I understand your question, Kaz Jones, if you're still on the call? I don't think, okay. Kaz, you on? Okay, well, oh. Okay, Kaz, I'm going to try to answer your question. Please let me know if you if I do not. Again, I do apologize. No, ma'am, I cannot hear, or no, I cannot hear you. Let me make sure I asked to unmute. I just pinged you. But I'll try to answer the question, no? I would say this on its simplest form. There will be some strong similarities to the process, but there will obviously be some differences between. To me, when you're selling anything, I think there's definitely going to be just some commonalities no matter what you're selling. So yes, so I would say that for the sales process portion, yes. But again, once you kind of get towards the end, there may be some differences when it comes to the negotiation and the closing. But for the most part, in my experience, I mean, we sell both products and services here at Socially In. The sales process, the nurturing of a lot of that is the same. But again, I'm not quite sure if I answered that or if I understood that properly. So please shoot me a note or an email. Would love to spend a little more time to help you dig into that. I'll make sure. Questions. Everyone is unmuted. Does anyone else have any live questions that we could ask? Kaz, I still can't hear you. I'm hoping. Yeah, I still can't hear you. I see your mic is unmuted. Well, it's 10:45. Like I said, I really appreciate everyone's time. Kaz, if you do not mind, because I definitely want to answer that question, could you either go ahead and shoot me I'll also just put my cell phone in the chat. Very easy to get a hold of. If anyone wants to dig into anything that we went through, text, email, all of that stuff works. Like I said, Kaz Jones would love to follow up on your question, because like I said, I'm not quite sure I answered your question right, but I'll give it just 15 more seconds. Does anyone, again, I'll give it just a little bit. Anyone have any more questions, comments, anything they like to say before I let everyone go today? I really appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you all. Like I said, if anyone does have continuous questions and different things like that, my schedule is literally open for the rest of this afternoon, just to kind of do follow-ups and some different things like that. So we'd love to see a text, would love to get a phone call, would love to get an email. And we'll go ahead and make it happen. I really appreciate everybody's time today. And thank you so much. Like I said, shoot me a text or call if I did not ask anybody, or if I did not answer any questions. And again, I really appreciate everyone's time. I hope everyone has a safe and happy and kind rest of their day. Thank you, everyone.